we're still talking about teaching writing. You know that teaching writing has been a long journey. Why? Because we had a lot of theory about it, a lot of theory about how can we teach children according to the skill that is writing. Okay, we can adapt these lesson plans. Remember that it doesn't mean that yes, we're going to just focus on from 6 to 7 years old children. No, we can adapt it to teenagers, pre-teenagers, right? We can adapt it to adults, right? In this case, the subject is teaching children, but you can adapt your lesson plans, right? Your lesson plans, that's why they are very important, because in case that you are going to teach in a future, right? You can adapt it because you already have the topic, you already have some vocabulary words that it could be useful, right? So whenever you are writing your lesson plan, try to write it because it's going to help you in the future. Okay, very good. So today we're going to talk about lesson planning, talking about teaching writing. Okay. So last classes, last virtual sessions, we talked about the writing process, right? We know that the writing process, we start with the pre-writing, right? We have some steps right there. Then we continue with the drafting, then with revision, editing, and then we published the writing, okay? Remember that if you want to publish the children's work, it means that you want them, you want the people to read the work that they've done, right? So you need to be very aware about the mistakes, the structure of the work, the template that you are working with your children, because someone else is going to read it, and it has to be very clear, right? It could be a story, it could be a newspaper article, it could be a poster. That depends on the teacher, that depends on you, right? So I don't know if you found out some new activities, or maybe some activities that you found in the theory that they were interesting for you, right? So if you would like to participate in this situation, talk about or write what activities did you find that were interesting. It could be just one activity, okay? So think about this. Activities that were interesting, maybe in one writing stage, it could be. Which one was interesting for you? Very good. So Erika, you found out a lot of things. Very good. One is in writing that the kids do like a comic. You gave them the drawings and they fill the bubbles. Okay, very good. Very interesting. That one is very interesting. I would like to see that in a class. Thank you, Erika. And Carmen, you said reading a story and then ask students to rewrite in another way using the vocabulary. Okay, very good. As you can see, we have a lot of activities that we can find in Google, right? We can find in some websites, right? And you can adapt those activities. It doesn't mean that we have to be creative or that we need to create one activity from zero. It means that you can find activities and then you can adapt it according to the level of your students and according to the topic, right? I really enjoyed that you found more activities, right? Thank you so much for your participation. Very good. So let's continue. And let's talk about now the lesson planning. I'm going to explain you more details about how can you create a lesson plan according to teaching writing, okay? So we're still As you can see, we're still using the same template as the ones that we have worked with. So here we have something interesting, right? Remember that the length of the lesson, we're still working for a 40-minute class. Okay, so consider the time that you are teaching the writing skill. Okay, so here in the objective of the lesson, we have students will be able to, here we have a different, as you can see, different sentences. Why? Because we're teaching writing, we're teaching another skill that is a productive one. And here we have write. Write what? Okay, so think about the final product that your students are doing, right? In this case, for example, students will be able to write, it could be a letter, a postcard, or a story. That depends on you as a teacher, right? Using what? What? Pictures, using vocabulary words, using a grammar point. So the objective has to be very specific, right? We need to consider this. You need to consider the final product in order to write your objective. That is the final, right? In order to, what is the writing activity about? In order to describe, in order to select, right? So try to in this case, in this sentence, in order to write, what is the writing activity about? Okay, be very specific, but at the same time, we don't want that the objective sounds like an instruction. Okay, because some objectives, it could sound like a listening instruction, but actually your objective, it's very general, right? It has to be very smart. Okay, so this is the objective about your writing. Consider, please, the final product of your students. Okay, and also that is very important to fill this information, because I have seen lesson plans that we don't have an objective. Okay, so if you don't write an objective, it means that, well, we don't know if it's going to work. Remember that these lesson plans, sometimes we can lend those lesson plans to another person, right? Or also some teachers might ask you like, do you have a lesson plan about colors, because I'm going to teach children? And then you say, yes, of course I have one, because I have done one before. And then you hand the lesson plan to that person, and that person is going to read it. Okay, so that's why it has to be very clear, right? Here, please fill out your teacher's name, that is yourself, right? The level of the students. How many students? Okay, so think about this. How many students would it work for your lesson plan? It could be 10, 8 students. That depends on you. Okay, this is going to be your choice. The date, of course, write the date down. The topic, that is very important too, right? Maybe it could be a story, but try to create a topic, okay? Maybe going to vacations or talking about nature, right? Be creative with this lesson plan, right? Remember that writing, it doesn't have to be very boring. It has to be the opposite, that you need to enjoy the lesson, but also your students need to enjoy it too, right? So now here's just some observations about this template. We have the time that you have to fill this information. Remember that you need to be very aware about how long are you taking in those stages. Remember that in writing, we have stages that we start with the pre-writing till the publishing, right? So you need to consider the time that you're going to take in each of the stages. And also we have the procedure that here you're going to write the stages of writing, okay? So again, we'll start with the pre-writing, then the drafting, revising, editing, and then the publish, that is the final product, right? So here we're going to be writing all of the stages, right? And here, be very specific about what is the teacher going to do and what will the students going to do. I know that some of you don't write a lot of things in the student section because you describe it in the teacher's role, right? But it doesn't matter. It's okay if it's always repetitive. For example, the teacher will talk about the story, and then students will listen to the teacher's story, and it's okay. Don't worry. But we need the steps, and we need the specific steps. Remember that put yourself in another's shoes, and if you read your lesson plan and you don't understand, it means that the other person will not understand either. Okay, so consider this as a steps, write it down with clear instructions, with clear sentences so everyone can understand. Okay, and here you have if it's teacher center or student center. Right? It means that, for example, if in the pre-writing, the teacher is the center of the attention, the teacher is always the one that is giving the instructions and the students is just listening, then it's going to be a very teacher-centered class, right? The opposite, if students are giving feedback with each other, if students are participating between each other, it means that it is a student-centered class. So here you're going to choose its teachers or students. And here the material or the VAKT, right? Write the material that you're going to use. If it's a PowerPoint presentation, put it down there. If it's a picture, go ahead, put it there. If it's a video, I appreciate that you put the link. That is very useful for me to understand what are you going to do. Very good. You can put it here, right? And also try to include the VAKT, that are the multiple intelligences. If it's a visual activity, an auditory, kinesthetic, or tactile, that we have been discussing, that if we include the 4 multiple intelligences, it means that it's a very complete class because you're covering all of them, all of the intelligences that your students might have, right? So be very specific, please. And also consider that in each of the stages of the writing process, all of the students have to do something, right? In all of the stages, they have to do something. If it's in revising, remember that we have been talking about some techniques about revising, right? Some of the famous techniques are the red pen or the blue pen in order to circle the mistakes, or we have the rubrics, right? So all of the stages, students are doing something about it, something about their own writing, okay? So I don't expect that, for example, in the revising, there is a blank space there. No, because they're always doing something, okay? Very good. And here, the assessment or extension of activities. In this case, consider this. If you were going to teach this lesson, think about that you're going to assign a homework. Okay, imagine that you don't have a lot of time to cover the class. What is the extension of the activity? What is the assessment, right? Think about an activity that they can do at home, right? Maybe with their parents, or something that they can do at home outside the classroom. Okay? So this is another extension. Consider, please, writing down some ideas in this section too, okay? And here we have something that is very important, that is the anticipated problems and solutions. Consider this question in order to reflect about it. What problems or solutions will you encounter during the class? Okay, for example, if you are telling your students to write a story, what are the problems that you might encounter during the whole class? Maybe one student will have problems writing down some ideas, or maybe another student will be confusing some vocabulary words, or I don't know. So what problems will your students have during your class? Okay, so this section is also very reflective, teacher reflective. Why? Because here you are thinking about what is going to be the problem and what solutions are you going to do. Okay, so this is very important because I can see here in this space that you are reflecting and that you are giving solutions to your problems, right? And also they are very necessary. So please write it down, write down your lesson plan, a complete lesson plan. Don't missing these 2 sections that are very, very important to you. And also there is a reflection about your teaching in the future. Okay, so I don't know if you have any problems here with the lesson planning. I don't know if you have any questions about it. Feel free to ask. Here you again, you have the section, the chat in Zoom. So if you have any questions, I'm going to give you some minutes. If you don't have any questions, we can continue. But as you can see, this virtual session is going to be very short because I was going to explain you just to fill the information, consider the lesson planning. But I will give you a minute for if you have any doubts or questions, okay? Okay, Carmen. So here you have the anticipated problems. Okay, let me explain you more. The anticipated problems, it means that, for example, you are going to teach to your children a reading lesson plan, for example, okay? So you have your reading, you have your activities, you have everything. But you need to visualize your classroom. You need to visualize your students, okay? This is going to help you a lot to see what kind of problems will you have when you're giving the class, right? Sometimes, in my case, I always visualize what is going to be my class, right? Before going to class, I need to think about what questions, for example, what problems am I going to have when I'm giving the lesson, right? Maybe I have one student, Juanito, that is always getting distracted with another one. Or maybe I can have a problem with another student that has a difficulty of learning new words. For example, in that case, that I have a student that has the same problems, remembering new words, what can I do as a teacher to have a solution to that student? Maybe my solution for that student that forgets the words, maybe pasting the words on the wall, right? New words, so that student can remember the words that we were learning, okay? Maybe pasting visual aids so they can remember new words, so that student will not struggle, okay? That kind of problems. I know that it's very difficult to think about a problem when we don't have the students, right? I know that it's very difficult to visualize a student that it doesn't exist. But try to think that you have your own students. Try to think that you already have a children's group, okay? And try to think about what problems can you have when you're giving the lesson, okay? Think about, in this case, the writing lesson plan. What problems can you encounter if you are going to teach your children a writing lesson plan, a writing class? So in that case, Carmen, in the anticipated problems, try to write your own feelings about it. What problems can you have and what solutions can you think about it, okay? And Erika, here you have, in that same part, can you write some problems that you had in previous classes? Yes, of course. Yes. If it's easier for you to write an experience that you had before, go ahead, right? Remember that in that part, it's a very reflection about yourself. And I didn't think about it, Erika. That would be a great idea for you. Yes, you can write there problems that you have or experiences that you have about maybe some teachers, if in case that you remember about your teachers teaching you writing, go ahead. I know that it could be very difficult to think now because we haven't had the opportunity to work with children, right? Of course, Erika, go ahead. And if Carmen, if you feel that that would be better for you to write past experiences, it will be very useful too. Very good. Excellent. Good job. I don't know if you have another question, guys. No? Okay. Carmen, no. Erika, I don't know if you have another one, another that you would like to ask. Very good. Okay, let's continue and let me explain you about this assignment. So here, when you enter to the platform, you have a section that says activities for teaching writing. Okay, here you have some links that I found on the websites, what do you have to do in case that you need more creativity, or you would like to have more options from your activities? Here I found some links that it might be useful for you, right? Here you have writing and young learners. This is an article. Here some of these things tells you about some activities that you can apply in your classes, right? And also how to adapt it, right? So feel free to click on the links, read it if you want to, right? So this section is for you, so you can have more ideas, okay? And also we have here the lesson planning for teaching writing, right? You will upload your writing lesson that will cover a 40-minute class, okay? Again, you have the topic that is very free, okay? Students, you will choose the level of the students. Remember that if you feel comfortable working with from 5 to 7-year-old students, preschooler students, go ahead. You can cover that lesson plan. Or if you feel comfortable working with children from 9 to 10, 9 to 12, go ahead. You will choose the level of your students and you will choose the age, right? Feel free to adapt the lesson. And yes, Erika, the lesson plan, yes, you need to cover all of the stages of writing, exactly. From pre-writing to publish, exactly. Very good. And another thing that I would like to tell you is this. I don't know if you have seen this section in the platform. We have the lesson plan feedback. Whenever you do a lesson plan, I always give you feedback. Right? Here you open this link, and you will have this section, right? Here you have, well, my students are you, Javier, Genesis, Erika, and Carmen. For example, I'm gonna click Erika's, and here you will have the lesson plans checked with some observations from myself, right? And this can help you more to reflect about your lesson plan. Here, I don't know if you have seen it. Here you have the speaking lesson plan that you made, the reading, multiple intelligences, the listening. You just have to click on your name and you will have access to the lesson plans. Let me see the chat. Okay. So this is the way I've been revising your lesson plans, and also it's my way to give you the feedback because I haven't seen you, right? So feel free to go to click on your lesson plans, try to read it down so you can know what is missing in your lesson plans or what is actually working, okay? So feel free to check it, okay? So I don't know if you have any more questions about the class, about the lesson planning, assignments. Okay, when? Let me check the date, the deadline for this one. Let me share you Aprendo. Here you have. Okay, so let me check when did I put the deadline because I don't remember well. Let me go to. Okay, here is a lesson plan feedback. As I mentioned before, here you can click on it and you can access to the lesson plans checked, right? Here at the end, you have the lesson plan for teaching writing. And here we have the deadline for May 20th. So that will be Wednesday, next Wednesday, okay? And also here, as I mentioned before, here you have the links, right? For example, if you want to click on one, you will have access to the article, you will have access of some writing activities that you can create in your lesson, right? So it can help you a lot, right? Feel free to check them and you can have more ideas, okay? I don't know if you have another question, guys. Very good. Feel free, guys. Another thing that I would like to tell you is feel free if you have another question or if you found a website even, right? Remember that we can help each other. Okay, we can help each other, and that it means, for example, that if you found a really useful website for your lesson plans or for activities, you can share it in our WhatsApp group. Why? Because I remember that we're a community of teachers. We need to help each other. And if you find an article, something that was very interesting about some activities, feel free to share it. Okay, this can help you a lot to everyone, right? As you as a future teachers, or if you're going to teach soon, it's going to help you a lot. Remember that sometimes we can have a lot of stress because sometimes we don't. The creativity fades, right? And us helping us each other and being aware that we can have more ideas and we can share it, it makes us feel like we are not alone for this journey. Okay, so again, feel free to share links, to share pictures. Okay, so we can help each other. So if you don't have any questions, no more hesitations, we can finish the session. Right? Thank you so much. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Erika. Thank you for being here with me. Remember that, again, I'm on the WhatsApp group. In case that you have another question, I will be able to help you, right? Thank you so much. Take care and enjoy your day, right? Take care. Thank you so much.